Oh, Deluded, I'm back again. As you can see, I'm out and about on my lunch break. It's North London's favourite YouTube weirdo, in fact Central London's favourite weirdo. I'm clearly, like I said, out and about. In typical London fashion, it was relatively quiet by our standards, minus the wind. Since I've clicked go in this vid, you can hear police or ambulance sirens, you can potentially hear the wind. Little kids are running up and down, I think it's lunchtime or they're on their breaks or something. So forgive me, man, it really is not my fault. But cracking on, and clearly I just tried to put my hand and rest my hand, it didn't bang. Got some things to speak about, people, if I can never get to them, because the wind is being an enemy of progress. But cracking on, people. I've seen Everton have been linked with Unai Emery, people. Now, apparently, if I can find it, here it is, people. An informal meeting was held in London, and it is thought Emery wants more time to think about his next move following his dismissal as Arsenal head coach. Emery is keen to continue improving his English as he sees London, as well as Spain and Italy as viable options for his next job. Former Arsenal boss Unai Emery was approached by Everton about the role, Sky Sports News understands. So he's been approached by Everton, and I mean, I know he loved Iwobi, and it was bewildering when he sold Iwobi, or the club got rid of him. It's a reunion. Now, obviously, it didn't work out for Unai Emery, and his credibility has potential. Well, it has taken a hit. Obviously, 3 Europa League titles, defeating Klopp, who looks to be winning the league as well as the Champions League. Klopp had no answers for him in the finals, and obviously you've seen Emery, he still is a master tactician and stuff, but he tinkered too much. His game management, all the things that was a theme of his time at Arsenal has happened. His stock has taken a hit. No disrespect for Everton, but I think Emery, well, we're poor as well, but I think these sort of jobs, including Arsenal, well, excluding Arsenal now, is for Emery. I don't think Emery is a top 6, top 4 manager. He's got an underdog mentality. I think he'd do alright at Everton. Now, I can't remember the name of the other gaffer, but there is someone who's a favourite for the role. I think he would do alright, and you still got to remember, he's still won Europa League titles. Emery's still a manager in high esteem. I think he can get another Premier League job. Admittedly, if I was Everton, I wouldn't go for him, because I'd say Everton, yeah, Duncan Ferguson, you've seen a reaction, but excluding Duncan Ferguson, there's not been an identity with that Everton side. Duncan Ferguson, being an Evertonian, kind of installed that based on the victory against Chelsea, but generally there's not an identity. And when Emery was at Arsenal, there wasn't an identity, it was a defeative attitude. If he goes with the same mentality again with Everton and deploys the tactics in the same way, he's going to get eaten alive in the Premier League. You'd be hoping if he went, he'd learn from his mistakes. A wise man learns from others' mistakes as well as his own, and whatnot, but who knows. He probably needs some time to if I was him, I'd take some time out, because as much as I feel he was poor at Arsenal, he had the Ramsey situation, the transfers, the player busts up, the changes at the top, all of these things take a lot out of you. I think he needs to take, if he wants to step back into management, great, but I believe him, Poch, Marco Silva, anyone that's lost their job, first and foremost, take some time to assess, you know, chill with your family, all the things that being a manager robs you of, because you don't really have time to chill with your family and really consider what life is about and what's important, because you're spending so much time from fixture to fixture, and really make sure the next opportunity he takes is the opportunity he really wants and is very much for him, people. So good on Emery, I hope it turns around for Emery. Carrying on with Emery, David Ornstein has said, people, by The Athletic, apparently Emery wanted to sign Thomas Partley from Atletico Madrid, and the player was desperate to join, but Arsenal wanted to focus on a wide player. Emery wanted Zaha because he wouldn't need time to settle, but the club preferred Pepe mainly because he's younger. Now again, I do think Emery got it wrong with his tactics and things, but people need to be helped by the board. Apparently he went on to say him and his coaching staff wanted Maguire. We didn't get Maguire for obvious reasons. We got David Luiz. You see the drop-off in quality. I think the board have to be assessed, and you do need to hold the board accountable as well, people, because like I said in a previous vid, looking for a new manager is fine, but in tandem, the board have to be assessing the core. Who is going to come in at centre-half? Who is going to come in at central midfield? Who is going to be, you see what I'm saying? A right-back, for example, that's going to make us a better side and give us better balance, so that when this new manager comes in, he's got the right tools to work with. You look at Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. He's been allowed to bring in, I don't know, Pret and them guys there, but Telemans, fair enough, he was made permanent, but he was on loan there already. Vardy there already. Telemans, if I've said him already. Maddison, Chilwell, So you get it. There was a good core of players to work forward with, and then all Rodgers had to do was install what he wanted. At Arsenal, there is a decent core of and a couple of individuals he could work forward with, but the base ain't there. There's no way we can build a top 4 consistent side with David Luiz at the heart of the centre half, or Socrates. In fact, any of our centre halves. You lot know me, I love Holding, and I'll defend him. And I like I said, I think Emery lost his job because of no one but himself. He messed up top 4 last season towards the last leg, as well as the players. He's not learnt from previous mistakes. He failed to install any real identity and many other things. But I do think you need to hold the board accountable. If you're not bringing in players, what can you do, especially in central midfield? Thomas Partley would have been a great signing, people, for me. That composing. We do need someone who's 5'9", 6 foot plus, strong in the midfield with Torreira. Someone that can carry a ball as well, in which Partley's not the best dribbler of a ball, but he can carry a ball. You look at our midfield, only Joe Willock, Guendouzi had to push in comparison to the others, can really carry a ball. I'm not saying dribble, but carry a ball, burst from that midfield. So if he wanted several targets and he didn't get any, he's a head coach, so he has to be able to deal with alternatives. And I mean, regardless if he got Zaha or not, you look at all of our attacking players, he failed to find balance and there wasn't really gelling. But if he wanted Zaha because he's going to hit the ground running, then fair play. We all know we probably went to Pepe because we didn't get Champions League football, and just Palace don't need the money as much as Lille. We was able to structure payments. Palace probably wanted more up front. I'm not to play as devil's advocate, but if we got Champions League, potentially maybe the club would have thrown up more upfront costs in relation to Zaha. Do you get it? So I feel Emery shot himself in the foot not getting Champions League football, and regardless, the club still spent 100 million in the summer. He's still got Pepe. He's still got all of these things. What's to say if he got Thomas Partley, forgive me for mispronunciation, Zaha and Maguire would be better? Because you look at Maguire. Maguire will make a difference because he's a good centre-half, in my opinion, definitely better than what we have. But how our whole approach to defending, not just in the back line, but as a club, is all wrong. So he would look not out of sorts, but it'd be like when we used to praise Koscielny for being a quality defender. It's not, and it's no fault of Koscielny's prime. It's just because he's looking great amongst the madness and one of the only players with any credibility. There was no system defensively to say he gets Maguire and he partners him up with someone, we're going to do better. Like I said, Pepe or Zaha probably would have hit the ground running and there would have been better balance. But what attacking player really is excelling at Arsenal through Emery's coaching? Aubameyang was there, but we all know we weren't playing to his strengths. He had Pepe, Lacazette, Ceballos. None of these players are really excelling, and some of the players have to take accountability. But again, a lot of that is down to the coaching people. And like I said, he still got the club still backed him and spent 100 million. The main thing is centre-half, people. Centre-half and central midfield. Emery should feel hard done by because we needed a central midfielder. He went in for Maguire and David Luiz. Maguire isn't perfect, but there's a noticeable drop-off in quality between the two people. So he was short-changed. Like I said, man, Emery has to hold his hands up, but it doesn't. It could be that could apply to the new manager. A new manager, Rodgers coming in could be one thing, like I said, in the previous week. But if he isn't backed with suitable targets and isn't allowed to bring in suitable man, you can forget about it. Because like I said, his job at Leicester is completely different from Arsenal. He just needed to get Leicester re-motivated, find a way of clicking, kind of go back to their attacking basics, in which similar to how they won the league. At Arsenal, it's even worse. We need to change our thinking. He damn right needs better players. If he was to take over the existing crop of players, would he excel? Through no fault of his own, I don't think he would, because even Sir Alex Ferguson in his prime, Wenger in his prime, Invincibles, they would struggle with this team because they're losers, in my opinion. That's just me being honest, people. To go in depth, apparently Emery and his staff were huge admirers of Maguire's ability to defend and play out from the back, and knew Leicester would sell him at the right price. But obviously a poor end to the campaign meant Arsenal stood no chance, and it was a straight fight between United and City. So again, I don't think we would have spent 50 or however many 80 million on Maguire for what United went. 60 to 80 on Zaha. I don't think we would have, it means we would have, and partly for 50 or odd million. I don't think it meant we would have splashed extra cash, but it is obvious we missed out on the Champions League. We had to be a bit smarter. The club should have had contingency plans, because if he's a head coach, similar to Poch, for me, Emery or whoever's in our role, don't you go, if you want a winger, people, do you not go there with, I don't know, let's just say I want Zaha on the list, Zaha, Pepe, let's just say Pulisic and 4 or 5 other men, bring me one in it, and then it's down to Emery to coach. If you get your top target, then great, but that's what a head coach, in my opinion, in the dynamics of Arsenal and other teams with a similar structure is right now, people. So coaching would have still been a big thing. Apparently, The Athletic said, and this is a direct quote, The Athletic learned the first approach to the Brazilian, he's speaking about Edu people, was made by Emery when they bumped into one another at the FIFA Best Awards at the London Royal Festival Hall in September 18. Arsenal was seeking candidates was linked to the club, the head coach or both, and Emery with links to the club, the head coach, or both. And Emery used the impromptu meeting to ask Edu, who played under him in 2009, if he would be interested in returning to the club where he enjoyed success as a player between 2001 and 2005. Fuck off, pigeon, man. Hey, get out of here, man. I hate them things. But, I mean, I wouldn't say Emery's the reason Edu's here, but you get, he kind of got his man there. There is some, they offered, apparently Tierney's got a shoulder injury as well as a underlying hip problem that we knew about. That's why he's been so slow to be integrated into life at Arsenal, people. So who knows in regard. I got, hey, squirrels and shit, man, animals and that. But moving on from that, people, and ironically in theme with wingers, Pepe's had some things to say in relation to his Arsenal career and potentially why it hasn't been smooth sailing. He said, I would say that my start at Arsenal has been a bit negative based on my own expectations of myself. I expected a bit more, I expect more, and it's up to me to work hard and make the difference in each match. It's normal for people to criticise me as much as they're doing because I am not making the difference in each match. I understand them. It is certainly up to me to reverse this situation through hard work. Now that's the mentality you want to have. You can either feel sorry for yourself, which probably everyone would to a degree, you'd be lacking self-confidence, but the world is going to keep spinning. Like I said, he probably is not going to be in the same breadth ever as legends like Perez, Henry, Bergkamp. But if they were written off after 6 months, where would they be as professional footballers, people? So keep going. Aaron Ramsey's a bit different, but Aaron Ramsey wasn't always held in high regard by Arsenal fans. And now look at when he left, people were begging him to stay. And I'm not saying that's right, I'm not saying that's wrong, but my point is how your Arsenal career begins isn't necessarily how it's going to end. Premier League is tough, adaptation to a new league and teams is tough, but I think he'll get through it because he's showing me the signs to suggest he will be a good signing, and I like this mentality. I'm not going to read it out, but he more or less offered some thoughts into LJUNGBERG, how he's been a positive voice, how him being in this situation as a player as well kind of helps him, people. So we'll see how that one develops. Finally, to leave you with some notes, people, Josh Kroenke, I believe, has offered some thoughts in relation to how we've been doing as a whole, and he said actually we can still accomplish our goals for the season. He said, like all our fans and supporters around the globe, we've been concerned about the recent string of performances. We wanted to support Emery and his staff until we decided it was time to make a change, and ultimately we came to that decision over the last several weeks as a group between myself, Raul, Unai and Edu. So they lost confidence in him, as we knew already, people, a while ago. He was obviously asked about the decision. I'm not going to read it out, that bit, because it's not relevant, but he said it was difficult and he praised Emery's work ethic. Relation to LJUNGBERG taking over, he said, first and foremost, Freddie has Arsenal DNA. Obviously, he was a player for a number of years. The supporters know him very well, and he's worked diligently behind the scenes for the past several years, which he has with Arsenal's youth academy and whatnot. Including the last year and a half or so with Arsenal again. So it's great to have him around. He knows the club's DNA, and we feel he's the right person in the moment to take us forward. My message to Freddie and the players was, let's get back to basics, and most importantly, let's get back to having fun. I think footballers are at their best when I see smiles on their face, going out there and winning matches. That's a winning formula to me, and I don't disagree with that. I mean, it's good lip service, but doing is important. Obviously, I always talk about going out there with the clarity of mind for professional footballers, even for players that are error-prone like Socrates and David Luiz. They make mistakes week in, week out. They need to identify and learn from making these bad decisions, but they cannot go into football matches scared of making a mistake. Football is a very mental game. People underestimate that. They need to go out there and have fun. They can't go out there, regardless of how poor we have, and these are obviously going to be there with pressure from the fans, pressures from the media. Obviously, it's not healthy. They need to go out there with freedom. But the only way they're going to do that is if the players look internally and find clarity, find peace with what's previously happened, whether I agree with the poor results or not. Know that they can't change the future, but what they can do is try and seize the future from being consistent and applying themselves. Talking is easy. As you've seen, our players and our club forever talk. In the last recent weeks, which is a whole theme of us, failed to deliver. Doing is expensive. Talking is a currency everybody have. Doing is an expensive currency, and Arsenal haven't shown we have that. Like I said, I believe the shirt is too big for a number of these individuals, and everyone's going to need to pull their fingers out. We do need to get back to basics. I agree wholeheartedly with Kroenke, but yeah, I mean, can we salvage this season? Only time will tell. Admittedly, I'm not sure any Arsenal fan can begrudge me for having little expectation from this season. 10 points or so off from the top 4. Mathematically, it can be done. But as a club, we look fractured. We look anything far from a team. There's no galvanization. There's no soldiers in the trenches. Players are unable to fight, players won't fight, or players just don't have it in them, which is concerning. So, and we're just getting battered week in, week out, whether we're necessarily taking wins, losing games, or drawing. This is not anything close to a team that wants to get top 4, in my opinion, and that's the harsh truth. So we'll see. But for now, I need to get back into the office, people. Forgive me for any background noise that's kind of taken away from my content. I apologise. I am not at home. West Ham and Arsenal play later. Hopefully we get back to winning ways. It's been 2 months or so without a victory. But on that note, people, God bless, DG, I'm out.